always pay me for it.
I haven't seen you at Walmart.
No, I actually, I went out of town early June, I didn't get back to the end of July, so. I run into her a couple of times.
You're welcome here.
Well, I appreciate it, good to see you. Good to see you, fellas.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Sit yourself in the corner.
No, stay right there.
We saved you a seat, Casey.
Thanks.
See how cold it is. Yeah, sun.
I don't think it'll last long.
Maybe 2 minutes. We try to do it on time.
Buffalo won. Okay, that won the winner. How about Pittsburgh Steelers won?
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Okay, never mind, let's talk about the weather.
It's raining.
Penn State won.
Oh, Penn State, well, I wanted to go there, we are.
25 seconds.
Use up as much of time as I could for you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.
You can't do the national anthem in a minute, can you?
I've done it several times.
How did it go? Let's see.
Really well. I think people want to hear the national anthem a lot. Chris is gonna take a shot at doing it at the Little League World Series next year. We'll try to get you in.
We'll see.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
It's
It went good for you?
It's wonderful.
That's
experience.
great. Did they give you a video?
Daughter-in-law recorded it.
That's good.
It was on TV. I didn't know that. Someone else said they saw it. Yeah. It's wonderful, humbling.
It is. It really is.
Be doing it again Saturday in River Valley.
Great.
Golf outing.
Excellent.
The way I collect, not you.
Thank you for that. That's good. Thank you for that. That's good.
Okay, please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here. I want to add 2 FYI items. Anybody here who was in the Air Force? No Air Force veterans. Anyway, the 18th is the Air Force's 75th birthday, so we celebrate with them. And this Friday is the National POW MIA Recognition Day, and there is a service on the green at 1800 hours for the military people and 6 p.m. for the rest. So we would invite everybody to be there. That's usually a nice moving ceremony.
I knew that.
Good.
Knew the 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6 o'clock, 6 p.m., yeah. With that, I would ask for public comment on agenda items only, please. Hearing none, we'll move to the minutes of the August 16th meeting.
I have them, and they are reviewed and signed by all those present. I'll move them as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved. Personnel issues, Casey.
Yeah, I have some information for the board for the following resignations that we received. For Brittany O'Connor, Deputy Sheriff, effective 8/22/22. Eric Coolidge, Warden from Tioga County Prison, effective 9/16/22. Isabel Cook from Corrections Officer at the prison, effective 9/21/22. Melissa Wilson from Children and Youth, effective 9/23/22. And Sapphire Matzak, caseworker for Children and Youth, effective 9/30/2022. The following item I have for approval would be contingent upon its approval on salary board, would be promotion of Tiffany Nobles to our operations manager at Tioga County Prison at $40,000 per year.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved.
Okay, moving on. Request has been brought to approve the reappointments of Sam Wilson and Bill Plummer to the Farmland Preservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, anytime, certainly want to acknowledge Lindsay Pickering for her service. Hmm?
That's next.
Mhm. Well, it's next, but, and those who volunteer their time on behalf of the betterment of the county, want to acknowledge that. Thank you for stepping up.
Volunteers.
Mhm.
Yep.
So we have a motion.
No motion.
Any further discussion? Mark?
No.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye, it's approved.
And next is to accept the resignation of Lindsay Pickering from the Farmland Preservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye, it's approved.
Next up are the county real estate tax refund. This is on your agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved.
Next is to issue a proclamation supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
And I will read it. Supporting Operation Greenlight for Veterans. Whereas the residents of Tioga County have great respect, admiration, and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have selflessly served our country and this community in the armed forces. And whereas the contributions and sacrifices of the men and women who served in the armed forces have been vital in maintaining the freedoms and way of life enjoyed by our citizens. And whereas Tioga County seeks to honor these individuals who have paid the high price for freedom by placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. And whereas veterans continue to serve our community in the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars, religious groups, civil service, and by functioning as county veteran service officers in 29 states to help fellow former service members access to more than $52 billion with a B in federal health, disability, and compensation benefits each year. And whereas approximately 200,000 service members transition to civilian communities annually, and whereas an estimated 20% increase of service members will transition to civilian life in the near future. And whereas studies indicate that 44 to 72% of service members experiencing high level of stress during transition from military to civilian life. And whereas active military service members transitioning from military service are at a high risk for suicide during their first year after military service. And whereas the National Association of Counties encourages all counties, parishes, and boroughs to recognize Operation Greenlight for veterans. And whereas Tioga County appreciates the sacrifice of our United States military personnel and believes specific recognition should be granted. Therefore, be it resolved, with designation as green light for Veterans County, Tioga County hereby declares from October through Veterans Day, November 11th, 2022, a time to salute and honor the service and sacrifice of our men and women in uniform, transitioning from active service. Therefore, be it further resolved that in observance of Operation Greenlight, Tioga County encourages its citizens in patriotic tradition to recognize the importance of honoring all those who make immeasurable sacrifices to preserve freedom by displaying a green light in a window of their place of business or residence. Dated 9/13/2022, the Tioga County Commissioners. Any
Thank you,
discussion?
Commissioners. Thank you.
We have a motion.
Yeah.
Good.
We're fortunate to have the Veterans Administration that we do. He has generated about $3 million annually back to the veterans in addressing those needs. Tim has done a tremendous job, and we've listened to the requests to fill additional positions that we might better serve. And I want to acknowledge Tim's work in that area, but and that's where the credit belongs. As Roger read, Tioga County is one of the highest involved military personnel in the Commonwealth. You can look it up. We've made sacrifices for generations. Roger, being a veteran, even adds to the credibility.
Oh, flyboard.
Well,
Maybe.
that part.
I just wanted to recognize that this whole movement started in Pennsylvania. We have a commissioner in Pennsylvania that is the chair of the National Association Veterans Committee. He's done some great work as well. Pennsylvania is a leader in recognizing our veterans. And so I would just say, encourage everybody to get the green lights out.
Okay. All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved. Adopted.
Next up is an adoption for Resolution R-1522, and this is Tioga County Container will be submitting an application for a RACP grant for the development of their business over there in Tioga.
I want to move that.
Do you want to read anything of it?
No, I'll speak to it.
Okay, discussion.
We've been fortunate enough to have a business seek to find revenue to grow their industry, that they might secure additional jobs, secure their position in the industry. Corrugated boxing is box. Businesses are, well, Amazon to pick one, and that changed the way we do business. But more importantly, the fact that we can continue to do business is a need to expand. They took it upon themselves to make tremendous contribution within the company, but these dollars here will help facilitate that expansion. It means jobs, it means economy, and it means growth and the ability to sustain in that business, rather than just, again, opposite of another company. We're going up against states. So this is a very important investment to our economy in our county.
I'm good.
I would just add that there is a match to this.
Yep.
The company itself has to match. And Deb, you know what the match percentage is?
50%.
It's a 50,
I believe it is
so it's a 50%
50%.
match. It's not just. Okay, with that. All's in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye. It's approved.
Next up is a change order from Silvertip for the Highland Chocolate Building Project. They are installing 2 sump pumps.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All's in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye.
It's approved.
Next up is a lease agreement between Partners in Progress and the county for the Highland Chocolates business, which is operating out of our Human Services buildings until their new building is ready to move into.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in
Yes.
favor with aye?
No.
Did you want?
Yes. Nope. We're good. Aye.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
And So the next item on your agenda is a lease agreement with the county and chamber. We are pulling that from today's business for further review. So that is not going to be voted on at this point. The next up is a proposal from Johnson Controls for 5 additional security cameras up at the prison, which we paid from Act 13.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
And next up is amendment to our current agreement with Telemental Health for our prison inmates. It's adding an additional hour per week for telepsych services.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved.
And next up, we have an agreement from Larson Design, who will serve as the county's engineer for our dam inspections, any road or parking projects, minor bridge repairs. We currently use Scott Gray. He is retiring at the end of this year, so Larson is going to fill that void.
So moved.
Second.
I would just ask the question, is how long was Scott Berry then?
Oh my goodness.
Well,
That long.
I'm gonna say about 27 years, and maybe more. That's how long I've been here. So, and he has been a consultant for us for a number of years, and it's been a value to be congratulated for his service.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
And next up are the 32 agreements with the Department of Human Services, which are attached to your agenda.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved. Okay, we are at the point of public comment, and John and Juanita Bergeson had called ahead to be on the agenda.
Okay, I would like to share my time with Roberta Hamlin, but I'd just like to make a brief introductory statement. I collected, and so did other people, signatures to put the question on the November ballot: should we continue the use of voting machines in Tioga County? When I did that, I heard more swearing in Tioga County than I've heard in I don't know when. There are a lot of people that just don't trust voting machines. And I would respectfully request that the commissioners remove the voting machines because there are so many people who question the integrity of them. And if not, would you at least let the people decide by putting the question on the ballot? And I would like to yield to Roberta.
And Roberta, I thank you for being here, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay, unfortunately, my computer system wasn't working this morning very well, so I'm not as prepared as what I normally like to be. Like Johnny said, we received over the 10% required to, and submitted them in time to have the questions put on the ballot per the commissioner's approval, and the commissioners actually have the authority to put the question on the ballot without the petitions actually, as long as it's not in violation of the Pennsylvania voter laws, which it's not. And as you have recently seen in the news, Lycoming County so adopted that. However, last night, I guess in their meeting, it was rescinded for whatever reason. I think it was a verbiage, some sort of verbiage thing. But this is an endeavor going on throughout Pennsylvania. It's not just us asking for it. It's a lot of, like Joni said, there's a lot of people passionate about this. Voter integrity is one of the key issues coming up with this in all elections. And whereas we may not have a lot of the issues that some of the counties do with our systems and so forth, anytime you have a system, and they don't have to be, the big misconception is people think that they have to be connected to the internet in order for that voter fraud to happen. That is not accurate. Chips are embedded in motherboards with their private VPN and access address to these systems. So that virtually anybody with a SIMS access VPN system can hack this system. And they're very hard to detect because you literally have to take your machine apart to find the chip on the motherboard. So these are just things, and I think it's our job as, I'm also a part of the Tioga County Republican Committee, and I think it's a part of our job to represent the people of Tioga County and their wishes and what they want. And voter integrity is, like I said, one of the key things in this. And I'm sure you've received the petitions, and, you know, I'm not sure where you stand on this. I haven't heard anything one way or the other as far as the three of you. I think it's something we need to look into. Voter integrity is important. You know, people say, well, why go back to paper ballots? Why do the counting? Well, our largest precinct, or our largest voting pool here, was 860 votes. Who can't count 860 votes? We're not Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or whatever. There's no reason why we can't go back to paper ballots and voting or counting. And I have the spreadsheet here that was given to us at one of our meetings from somebody who does a lot of work in this area. And 860 isn't a lot of people to count for. So I would just ask that you really consider this and in what the people, what the public of Tioga County wants. And we want voter integrity. We want to go back to the way things were. Again, I'm not implying that we have any big hard issues here. I want to stop or resolve anything from happening in the future or anything that may have already happened. So that being said, and I have a lot of documented things, if any of you need them, as far as the systems, the different types of systems, the chips that were found, and any type of information you may have. We've been researching this and we have it all documented, but with 5 minutes it's kind of hard to go over this. So at any point, any one of you could reach out to me and I can get you any information you need on this. Thank you.
And I had intended to turn that in. It came across the internet this morning. That is just what's happening in Pennsylvania.
Any other public comment?
Me, sir. I'm already standing, sorry, kind of awkward. Hi, thanks again for having me. I'm Angelina Barton, I represent INU Media. Last month we talked about Lawrenceville Borough's right to clean drinking water, and we talked about how someone needs to reach out for help. So I would like to ask if anyone since last month has reached out for help from Lawrenceville Borough.
Not that I'm aware. Janice, do you know if anybody has reached out from the borough?
No, we've not received any calls or emails.
Okay. Mr. Hamilton, you actually are on the Tioga County Conservation District, I noticed. And there's a couple of things I'd like you to elaborate on. One of the threats listed in your agenda planning board says that you're bound by certain delegations and DEP is in parentheses. Can you elaborate on what kind of restrictions and how that poses a threat?
I'm not understanding the question here.
In the agenda for your Tioga County Conservation District,
the
your
agenda.
plan, right, up to
On-
2026.
On the plan,
Yep, a threat is listed that bound by certain delegations, and in parentheses is DEP, which is the ones directly working with Lawrenceville Borough in the water. Can you articulate what kind of threat those boundaries create for Tioga County?
well, I believe that is talking more in lines with the farmers. And DEP in the past has wanted the conservation district to do patrolling or take, what's the word I want?
Enforcement.
Enforcement, there you go, thank you. DEP has tried several times to get the conservation districts to enforce for DEP, and the conservation districts do not want to do that. We see ourselves as friends to the farmers especially, and we want to help them do their management plans. We do not want to enforce them.
Thank you very much for articulating that. It made me very curious kind of about what that language meant. So DEP wrote me back stating that Lawrenceville Borough is directly responsible for staffing and operating their water plant. Is it fair to state that Lawrenceville Borough is not being responsible based on the lack of certified operators still?
I don't know if it's for us to answer that.
Mr. Coolidge, I know that we've kind of spoken before about you receiving the petition from the residents, the community document.
Yes, I acknowledge that last meeting.
Yep. Do you have a comment that it's fair to state that Lawrenceville Borough's not being responsible in getting an owner-operator based on DEP's help, that list of potential candidates that they've provided?
As I stated last time, I believe the regulatory entities are observing and monitoring that issue you're talking about. And I'll leave it to the regulatory agencies that are observing it at this time,
Okay.
and hopefully they'll resolve it sooner than later, because water is important to all of our boroughs and townships in the county at large.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Are you aware that DEP has never actually issued a public notice for Lawrenceville Borough in regards to the drinking water?
I am not.
Okay, so they did reply to me, and that is, I asked, so they have not ever issued a notice, although there's notice of violations in the past that Lawrenceville Borough is negligent on notifying the residents that the water has been shut off or things like that. So I just want to make you aware that they have never stepped in and assisted them with public notice, that there was a couple of council members that tried to do it door to door by hand. But that was only a few. There was other council members that refused to participate. I just think that's important to make you aware, okay, that is going on. Do you have any comments for Lawrenceville residents on the concerns hosted by Channel 18 and my footage about the accusations that DEP's last inspection report was inaccurate, and they're saying this in public? And do you have any advice for Lawrenceville residents on what they can do?
I guess I'd like to interject here, maybe.
Please.
This is totally out of the purview of the county. We don't regulate it.
Understood.
We don't inspect it. We don't fund it. We don't, and that is that municipal authority and that municipality's issue.
Are you aware
Now,
about
we
the
can work with
difficulties?
DEP and with the other entities.
Okay.
That is, all we are is an interface with them if requested.
Okay.
Everything else is out of our purview.
Okay. So again, someone has to come to you and say, hey, we please need
We
help.
are not going to them and say, you're not doing this right.
Right, right. That's DEP's responsibility.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you think DEP is holding up that responsibility?
I have no idea.
You have no
There
idea.
again, I don't work for DEP.
Understood.
I don't work for the borough
Okay.
or the authority.
It is making media, you know, and people have questions, so I appreciate your input.
Yep, good, thank you.
And was hoping for some kind of advice, I guess, for the residents. But is there somewhere, you think they should go to DEP?
Do I think they should go to DEP?
Yes, sir.
That's up to them. If that happened in Blossburg, I would go to Blossburg. And Blossburg didn't help,
Have
then
you-
I would go to DEP.
Have you had a chance to check out the Lawrenceville Borough meetings?
No, ma'am.
No?
No, ma'am.
Thank you guys very much for your time, I appreciate it.
Any other ones, or do you want to, okay, we're going to go back then to the issue of the petitions. There's a lot to this. It's not a simple issue. But we have reviewed the petitions and the petition itself with the advice of counsel. And I just want to read a statement. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court held that conditioning use of electronic voting systems on the result of a referendum was barred by the Federal Help America Vote Act, which requires the adoption of electronic voting systems. That was in 2006. The Commonwealth Court has held that boards of election lack the legal authority to place non-binding referendum questions on ballots. So we are not going to place it on the ballot. So, and
Could
that
you
is-
place a binding thing on the ballot?
We are not that's a whole other question. Anybody else, any other commissioner? Okay, any other comments?
Can we have a copy or information on the reference that you cited? That says the use of voting machines is required?
The book or page or
That is the Hall
Provision.
Act.
Right there.
Yeah, it's the HAVA Act, it's,
The HAVA Act, in, it's PS, 25 PS 3031.
Let's write that down, Dr. Smith.
Is that a state act or a federal act?
Federal.
And doesn't the state, control
Have
state elections?
Jurisdictions?
Supersede.
The HAVA Act, Help America Vote Act, supersedes this.
Are we saying that the feds can tell the states how they must vote?
They gave us, we have to vote with systems, is what I'm saying.
But the Constitution has always made it the states in control of the voting. It should supersede the feds.
The HAVA Act of 2006 is the governing legal authority.
Okay, we have to look into that because that's, I understand what you're saying, and that's what it says, we'll look into it.
Sure.
That just because they ordained that or whatever, it does not mean it's correct.
And
did she get the number?
did you get the number?
Did you get the number?
What's the number again?
It's 25 PS 3031.4.
Subparagraph E.
I think there's going to be dispute between state power and federal power.
That may be. We are the Board of Elections for Tioga County. We do not have the authority to put this on the Commonwealth Court.
Do you have the authority to put other questions on the ballot?
That's not our issue here, John.
When you say as for the Commonwealth Court, what regulation are you
The
citing?
Commonwealth Court, and this is a legal dissertation here. The Commonwealth Court has held that boards of election lack the legal authority to place non-binding referendum questions on ballots. That was Hempfield School District versus the Election Board of Lancaster County, 1990.
That's a non-binding referendum. What about a binding referendum?
But our question's a non-binding. Do you have any, document, references to that, statement from the Commonwealth Court? What document did that come from?
It was the Hempfield School District versus the Election Board of Lancaster County,
Is there a date on it?
1990. And I wasn't gonna add this, but I will now that we're into discussion just a little bit. You did not have enough signatures. You're required to have 10% of the last general election voted in the county, and you needed 990. You had 749, of which approximately 115 were either not Tioga County residents, or the addresses were wrong, or they were not registered voters. So the petition itself is invalid. Mr. Cool, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. You come seeking accountability. You come seeking accuracies. Yet you submit a document riddled with inaccuracies. That's somewhat of a contradiction, if you ask me. The issue is accountability, and it was referenced that we do not have the issue in Tioga County. Every vote that has been cast, whether it didn't have all the documents, won this last election was counted, and accounted for, I should say. Our system has never denied a vote or never been inaccurate. But yet you bring documents and you submit them for this board to consider that are inaccurate. What does that say? I say shame on you.
Well, two
We
things.
are
Let
not
me-
supposed
let me-
to ask somebody
Yeah,
about
John,
the,
go ahead.
okay.
Two things. One, we do not have the ability to audit when someone signs a petition. We don't have that data. Number two, you just stated that we are accurate in Tioga County.
We are.
All right, when has Tioga County been audited?
Penny?
Even at our last election, we had a recount. We've done two
No, a
recounts
recount
now.
is not an audit.
The recount came out to the numbers.
A recount is
And that
not
is
an
proof.
audit.
And also at final count, we do a 2% hand count from a precinct in Tioga County. That is mandated through the election laws, through the Department of State.
My
And we
question
do
was
that at
simple.
Every.
When
No, we're not
has
gonna
it
go
been
there.
audited? And the answer is,
We're not going there.
the county has not been audited and neither have the machines.
Okay, I'm gonna bring this to a close with this statement. We have paper ballots, we don't vote by machine.
I voted by machine here.
There's one machine at each precinct for the handicapped, for the HAVA Act. There's one machine, that's it, at each voting precinct. You vote by a paper ballot, don't,
We
I'm
do.
just telling you.
We do. Did they
Okay,
go
thank
through-
you.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Then they go through a scanner, and scanners.
Wait a minute, the petition says, let me read the petition. Shall the use of voting machine be continued in Tioga County?
Scanners are part of the voting machine. They are a machine.
That's,
And now we're bringing up these electronic sign-in books, which can actually be hacked. Every piece of information from every voter can be hacked in there. Anything that, even if it wasn't plugged in, if it has a motherboard, a chip, Wi-Fi potential, it's not about our county, it's not about our people. I worked as a poll watcher, and I went to different ones, and I was at Whitneyville. And the, Joe there was at a Republican meeting, and she took exception, and I said to her, no. I said, it's not about you, it's not about our people. It's not about our people that are working, it's about strictly the machines. And that's pretty much nationwide, it isn't
Okay.
just here.
okay, we're gonna end with this.
Okay.
You're way out of our control. We were given the choice of 5 different systems to pick from when we were mandated to go to a different system. We were given 5. The system, the whole system, from the printing of the ballots to the whole thing. There's 5 in the state of Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
We picked one. We picked one where we fill out a paper ballot. When we initially did it, I was one commissioner that really wanted to be all machines, because it's a lot. I really liked those old machines we had, and they worked. Okay. But we went with, we have paper ballots. We are not putting this
I understand that, that's not the point.
So-
My point is just the understanding that, ES and S is ours, I think that's the one that was chosen. And that has proved to have as many issues as the others. There actually is no machine out there that can't be hacked. It's nothing about it's nothing about the commissioners, it's nothing about our people that work hard at the precincts at all. It has nothing to do with that, it's just our discomfort with all machines. It wouldn't matter what the machine is, it is not about our people. We aren't even suggesting our people are doing irregular, I wouldn't even do that,
I'm in agreement with you.
no. We have
Roger, you said out of the 5 you were mandated with the one that you went with. Who mandated that?
That was from the state. The state
From Governor Wolf, or-
the state certified 5 systems, 5 different companies. We evaluated them, we tested them, we went through the whole process.
And like I
And
said,
we opted for this particular one.
Roger, like I said, I wasn't trying to point out that Tioga County has the issues that a lot of other counties have, but realistically, you know, going back to what Governor Wolf did a couple years ago, that was completely illegal with the voting process and how he went about it, and everybody knows that. And if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile, and I'm trying to be proactive here. And as far as the petition, sir, Mr. Bunn, I'm out there because I care about what the Tioga County residents, I can't account for what they wrote down as far as their address and so forth. They sign a petition, my objective was numbers, and from my understanding, it was 7,000 something, so 10% of that was 7. I wasn't trying to misquote anything or mislead anybody, but sir, I'm out there because we care, because we're trying to do what the residents, what the Tioga County people want, and I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna keep pushing and trying to get things accomplished, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you to consider, in abiding with that act, can you just use that electronic voting machine for the handicap?
No, anybody that wants to use it can. Right, Penny?
Correct.
So if I walk in there and said, I'd like to vote by the machine, you can.
No, I understand, but can the rest of them be paper ballots? Can you just use, the electronic machine for the handicap? 2 years ago, I believe it was, when Juanita and I went to vote in Blossburg, we were only presented with that, and we asked about it, and they said, no, we have to do it. We didn't get to see the piece of paper that came out of the machine, that's what got us so.
Okay, that's a whole other issue that you would need to talk to with our Director of Elections. Penny, when did we go to this?
November 2019, we went all paper ballot.
So from 2019 on, it's been a paper ballot, and nobody would direct you to use that machine if you didn't want to.
It happened in Blossburg.
To both of us.
And there were, how many, was it just the one machine there?
There was a line of machines,
No.
and we.
There were like 3 or 4 machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
Penny,
would have been a TSX, and that was before November 2019.
that was.
Because there is one
we
express
don't-
vote per precinct, there is one scanner per precinct.
It wasn't in this past
Unless
election.
it's a larger precinct.
It wasn't in this past election, it was in the one before, and we were presented a machine that had no paper ballot. So, Johnny and I both experienced this, you weren't there.
It printed something out of it and shot it into a box that we never got to see. Nobody ever saw a paper ballot that had our vote on it.
Okay.
We
And
had
I
paper
don't
ballots.
have,
when
I
you go
don't
now
have
to-
anything against anybody
Tell
personally.
me when you're going to go to vote in Blossburg, and I'll go with you.
Well,
That's
this
where I
last
vote.
No, the
time,
last time they
And-
had paper ballots, the
Okay,
last
and
time,
then
we're
that's what-
talking about the time before last.
That has nothing to do with our issue. Okay.
Penny, when you do you said you do like a 2% audit. When you do that, do you check the person that voted to see if they're like dead or alive and if they're a registered voter, or you just do the count?
We hand count the ballots. The ballot is not tied to a voter in any way. Those ballots that go through the scanner has no recognition of anybody. There's no way to know that. The people sign in the books. That is how they get their credit for voting. That is, in the books, they are active registered voters.
Okay, so when the books are printed with their names, then
They
that's
are,
where you
yes.
make sure that they're a
Yes.
real live person, and okay.
Any other topics? Okay, with that, we will adjourn and move into, the next meeting is October 11th. Love to see everybody here again. It's nice to have a room full. And I will call to order the salary board. Okay, the minutes.
How are you doing?
I have them before me and they've all been signed. I'll move it.
Second. I was gonna say, can I get a second? Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
Aye, it's approved.
I just have a couple items for salary board today. The first is to approve reclassification of our office manager position at Tioga County Prison to operations manager at $40,000 per year.
I'll move it.
Second. Any discussion?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, yes. That's Kara's.
I'll take it back, you can
Okay.
move it.
We have a motion, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
This is approved.
And the next item is to approve a creation of position of secretary to the district attorney at $14 per hour with benefits.
Can
So
we get a
moved.
second?
Second.
All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved. With that, we will adjourn the salary board and move into the retirement board, please.
Minutes of August
Any
16th.
comments? Hearing none. The minutes of the August 16th.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved.
And next up is approved payment to Corn Ferry for August actuarial services.
So moved.
Second.
Good.
And the last bit there's just.
We need to vote on that.
Okay, sorry.
You must be on a cup of coffee.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor with aye?
Aye.
It's approved.
And next up is just for information on the board.
With that, we will adjourn. And thank you. Again, thank you, everybody. You want Penny to retain these? Yeah, Penny, would you retain these, please, for a while? Did I see the chief come
Oh,
out?
I do. I promise you.
Enjoyed myself very much, but it was a good one.
Okay, all right. Wife told me I have to control
We haven't had lunch.
No,
We haven't
we're
had our
good.
conversation.
No, yeah, I don't wanna have, don't leave the room, I wanna ask you about that.
We do have to,
it. Appreciate you.
soon.
Thank you. I didn't know you were.